Hi, my name's Sasha Mark. I'm a stand-up comedian. I love going for a little walk right before the show, and I pace back and forth for about an hour. And another ritual that I have is that I stay away from alcohol completely. Yeah, those are kind of my pre-rituals when it comes to stand-up. That's it.
We love to make you laugh. We're very, really with all the jokes we have. We're very, really funny. That's why we do what we do. We're very, really we funny. Love to make you laugh. We're very, really Vancouver, funny. We love your laugh. It's YVR Funny.
Welcome to the stage, Sasha Mark!
Hi, friends. Hi, friends. I have some great news to share with everyone. It's been 10 years since I've come out of the closet. Thank you. Thank you. It's very weird because I'm 9, but like, whatever. But people come out in a variety of different ways. People come out face to face. People come out via text message. I wore the shirt. Thank you. Quick check-in. Do we like this shirt? My favorite thing about this shirt is that it disappoints my dad. Just kidding, I don't have a dad. But like he would, I was in a newspaper article recently, and the headline was, Sasha Mark, Indigenous stand-up comedian that you need to look out for. I know, thank you. I love the Crime Stopper section, I'm urban Indigenous. If you don't know what that means, it means that my reservation is at 10 p.m. at the restaurant behind us. A lot of people always try to, BIPOC folks, do you get this a lot? Do people try to guess what you are all the time? Yeah, thank you so much, thank you so much. I had this one person come up to me and then they were looking at me and they were like, let me guess, you are gonna stab me, right? And I was like, yeah. Of course. Yeah, it's been a bit of a spicy year. Lots of things have happened to me this year. I got a new job. You don't even know what it is. What if it's a bad job, So I'm a cop. Just kidding. No, I run an improv school now. Thank you. It's been fun, but I'm not an improviser. I don't know how to do that, but I'm learning about improv all the time. One thing that I learned about improv is that you're not allowed to let other people say no. So it's oh, that's why so many guys do it, A lot of other things have happened to me too. I by accident, I lost a lot of weight during this pandemic. No applause there, that's weird, right? I started working out, to work on that anxiety and depression and that stuff, and simultaneously, I lost a bunch of weight. But I was with somebody and they saw my thigh gap and they're like, oh, you have a thigh gap? I know, it's very 2012, I get it. I'm late to the program, but... and then they were like, wow, your thigh gap is just like the Grand Canyon. It accepts a lot of tourists, right? Yeah, during this pandemic, I made a New Year's resolution that I'm sticking to. My New Year's resolution is that, I am no longer gonna date a single white man this whole year. That is my resolution. How do we feel about that? Thank you. Not a single white man, not a single white man. I'm now dating a married white man, but... Yeah. But then you know, I kind of like mysteriously like entered like this poly relationship, and it's been like a lot of fun. It's been really great. But I've told some people, and they've had very like mixed reactions. I told somebody, and then they like caught me at a bad time, and they called me, and they were like, "Hey, can I talk to you right now?" I'm like, "This is a bad time," and they're like, "I heard that you are in a poly relationship." I was like, "Yeah, what's up?" And then they were like, "Yeah, aren't you like nervous that the person you're dating is gonna fall in love with somebody else?" And I was like, "So what?" And they're like, "Aren't you worried about like a person, like the person that you're dating is gonna fall in love with somebody else?" I was like, "Sorry, I'm too busy cheating on my boyfriend right now. Like, what? What is this about right now?" It's been really great. And I was like, "Okay, bye, Grandma. I'll talk to you later." You know. Yeah, very spicy stuff. No, but I'm really happy with this new boy. This guy's really great. I'm having a lot of fun with him. I don't like being single, so I haven't really told people that like I'm like poly and open and like available, because like whenever I get into a relationship and I break up with that person breaks up with me. Like all the people I've ever dated ever like get into my DM somehow. Like they just know right away. Like, have you ever? Does that happen to you? You break up and like a flood of people come into your DMs. Does that happen to anybody in this room? Just me, okay? I'm so hot. But it always happens. There was this guy that all my friends used to make fun of that I dated him. They all called him my like Justin Trudeau boyfriend. I know. It's because he's white, he's handsome. He apologizes way too much. And he kept trying to put his pipeline in indigenous territory, you know? Yeah. And we can say that this land is no longer unceded, you know? Yeah, I also like dating. I have a bad habit of dating white men. I do like it though, because like no one ever confuses us for like brothers. You know, I like that portion of it. You know, that's great. Like, haven't you ever seen like those siblings, those couples that look like brother and sister? Yeah. So you've been to Kelowna? I had an ex-boyfriend. He was like, "Come to my cabin in Kelowna." I was like, "Okay." Wow, diversity. And we went to his cabin, and then we were like, "Okay, so what are we gonna like do here, though?" Like, he's like, "Yeah, Sasha, have you ever done like acid before?" I was like, "No." And he was like describing it to me, and I was like, "That sounds gross," you know? So I did it, you know? Have you ever like lost the ability to like cross the street? You're just like, "I don't know how to do this." I was standing on the streetlight corner, and I was like, "I don't know how to cross the street anymore." All these cars were going, and all these lights were red, and some of them were green, and I was just like, I didn't know how to figure it out. So I turned to my friend Joel. I was like, "Joel, I don't know how to cross the street." And Joel's like, "It's easy. We're just gonna like stand here. We're gonna cross later." I was like, "But Joel, we've been here for 2 weeks. Like, I'm not okay. We need to cross the street, buddy." And Joel's like, "It's fine. So what's gonna happen is like those red lights, they're gonna turn green. Those cars that come this way and that way, they're gonna stop, and we're gonna be good, and we can cross." I was like, "But Joel," and he's like, "Shut up." And then a miracle happened. The light turned green. The car stopped. We started walking. And then I realized Joel never existed, you know? Yeah. Which should have made sense, because I was like, "Oh, this white guy in Kelowna's too nice," you know? What? We were also we were in Kelowna, and I was like, "What else are we gonna do here?" And then my friends were like, "We're gonna play with the Ouija board." Do you know what a Ouija board is? Yeah, it's like a board game that you use to contact things like ghosts and dead things. You know, things that are dead. You know, like dead family members, dead celebrities, Justin Trudeau's relationships with Indigenous people right now, you know, like, So we were playing the Ouija board and like we're just like asking a very basic question. We're like, okay, is there like a ghost here? No response. We're like, okay, ghost, do you have a name? No response. We're like, okay, ghost, are you like a good ghost or like a bad ghost? You know, no response. And then I realized we got ghosted. Ew, why are you laughing at that? What the heck? I heard someone say that was a dad joke. Was that a dad joke? I don't have a dad, so I was like trying, but you know, come on. But I realized as we were playing this Ouija board session that I was in danger. I wasn't safe because as we were doing the Ouija board session, I realized I was like, oh no, I'm doing this with all my friends and they all happen to be white. We're doing it in a cabin in the middle of the woods. And I'm the spicy brown one, you know? And what happens to our kind? We die, because we die first in horror movies. And I was like, oh no, But then I realized, actually, I'm gonna be okay in this one. I'm gonna be okay. Because they don't cast Indigenous people in horror movies, you know? I don't even exist in this one. Just kidding. There is that one horror movie that casted our people recently. What's it called? The News. Sorry, that's too woke, but I'm gonna leave you on that note. Thank you so much, my friends. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I love the storytelling aspect. I think one of the biggest things that I love about comedy is the way that we can tell stories and connect with folks. I remember doing a show one time and something that I said really resonated with somebody in the audience and they came up to me and they were crying about it and I was just like, this is supposed to be a funny show. But thank you so much. So yeah, I'm a firm believer that laughter is medicine. And yeah, I think and we can do a lot of that through comedy and storytelling. So I'm not a healer or anything, but like, I make people laugh. What do I like least about stand-up? I thought we had like 8 minutes to talk, you know? I think that my biggest thing is that first and foremost, I don't like the MLM style of comedy. I think there's this like notion where performers and especially like new comedians need to like do all these shows, bring friends to all these shows, put in all this money to be recognized as a comedian, and like what do they get out of it? Maybe after a year they might get paid $10 at a show one day. Like it's brutal, and I think that's something I really dislike about people who produce shows and produce comedy. Another thing that I dislike too, and I think this has really been shown outside of the pandemic too, is that a lot of alcohol is like a big part of what we do and how we, you know, operate. And with the pandemic, like coming back to comedy, like I've met so many comedians who are just like, I've sobered up now. And I think it's, you know, it's such a problem with the community. And it's made me think about a lot of things in that avenue as well. You know, how accessible is comedy, especially with alcohol so available? You know, like comedy is like looked at as an art form for adults, but also at the end of the day, like anybody can do it. It's weird that like this art form is like kids aren't doing it, you know? But kids can do improv, kids can do sketch, kids can do any other form of comedy, but not stand-up because it's spicy. It's the adult entertainment. But I don't know, just venues, I don't know. I don't know what I said, but that's what I said. Alcohol sucks, MLM suck, you know? My relationship with comedy as a child, was actually very minimal. I do remember though, I was playing on my Super Nintendo and I was like, had to flip through the channels to get to the Super Nintendo channel. And then I remember just like stopping on stand-up and like watching this person, white man, tell jokes in front of a group of people. And I just remember being as a kid just like stopping and not pulling up the game that I was gonna play because I just was like mesmerized. I was like, and I sat there until I watched it until it was over. And I was like the type of kid that couldn't finish like an episode of Barney. But I do remember like watching this like in awe and being like, this is so cool. And then the second I started playing Street Fighter, like I forgot what that was. But I remember that was my first instance of like watching stand-up ever. I was like 4. I did not know what he was talking about, but it was great. First time I did stand-up, I took this like stand-up writing workshop, and I went through it, and then I did my first open mic, bombed, and never went back. So that's the real first time, and then I didn't do stand-up for 2 years after that, and then I jumped back in, and then when I jumped back in, this is when I consider me actually starting stand-up, is that I did an open mic, it went really well, and then I got booked for a really big show, like almost right away. So, you know, it was very different both times. Oh my gosh, yes. One of the worst things, and it sucks because I love this person dearly. We were outside after a show, and he sat down next to me, and he meant this earnestly as a compliment, and I just, he was like sitting, he's like, Sasha, do you know why you're a good comedian? And I was like, no. And he was like, it's because you don't use being gay as a crutch. Thank you. And my response was to do gay jokes at every show I'm ever at. So that's my advice. You know, that's my takeaway from his advice. My joke writing process is a lot of talking, and then I say something funny, and I'm like, okay, I'll note this down, and so like I have a list of a bunch of things that I've said that need to be built into sets. And another thing about myself too when it comes to writing is that I have synesthesia. So like if people don't know what that is, it's when one sense is triggered. This is one of my fans. When one sense is triggered, it also activates another sense. So for me, when, for example, when I like taste something, I get visuals in my head. And when I'm telling stories or talking on stage, I also get visuals in my head. So it helps me with memorizing things. But for me, when I'm joke writing, it's weird, but when I'm writing, I just have to make sure that the colors look good and I can see those colors when that set is complete. It makes no sense when I'm explaining it to people, but it makes sense in my brain. I think you need to find the spaces that you feel most supported by to bomb a joke and be okay with it. I also find that if you are going to test new material and you're not going to know if it's going to work, if it's a little risky, sandwich it in between 2 jokes that work, and then put that hot piece of garbage in there, or diamond in the rough, or beautiful gem, and then see how that works, and go from there. That's my advice for that. There's a lot of things that comedy needs right now. First and foremost, audience members, I don't look at the camera. Name 10 queer, indigenous stand-up comedians across Canada. Like, can you? Like, the reality is, I barely can. And that shouldn't be difficult for me. Like, I should be able to, I'm a firm believer that I'm not the funniest queer, indigenous person here on this planet. And I think it's, I think we really need to look at the reasons why, indigenous folks, we're so funny, I'm the least funniest person in my siblings, in my family, I also want to get to a point where I can just be mediocrely bad on stage and still get booked. But, but that's my big thing, is that yeah, it's people with stories like mine and with experiences like mine aren't on stage right now. And I think that's a problem. And to fix that, I think we need to start booking more comedians that look like me to really, because for me, okay, I know I'm on a tangent, but one thing that really blew my mind when I came here, I'm not from Vancouver, I'm from Treaty 1 territory, from, Winnipeg, Manitoba, and one thing that blew my mind was that when I first came here, I saw a queer show at a comedy club. That blew my mind, and it shouldn't have blown my mind. It's like, oh, gay people can perform at a comedy club and host it and produce an all show and have it sold out and be really fun. Back where I'm from, that doesn't happen at comedy clubs. So, that blew my mind, and it opened that door for me. And it's just because I saw that, and I'm like, what are other things that people aren't seeing and they just need to see before that magic in that gear turns in their head? And I'm like, we need to start setting that up. I think the sign that maybe a joke is finished is that you're no longer getting any joy from working on and writing on this set. You're like, maybe it's completed, maybe I've explored, and maybe it's time to move on. So when you hit that feeling and it's not exciting for you, maybe it's time for you to move on to the more exciting thing. But also in the hindsight too, maybe in a couple years later down the road, you're like, maybe there are some things to tackle on this. So I think the key thing is it's never really done, but you also want to tackle things that you're most excited about because, we get paid $10 sometimes. Yeah. It's supposed to be fun.
We love to make you laugh with all the jokes we have. That's why we do what we do. You're why we are funny. Richmond to Surrey, Delta and Deep Cove. We love to make you laugh. We love to make you laugh. We love to make you laugh. Vancouver, we love your laugh. It's YVR Funny.